Hey there and welcome. We all have a toolkit for fixing things around the house, right? A hammer, a screwdriver. But what about a toolkit for your brain? A set of tools for tackling problems at work, for getting projects over the finish line, or just for thinking more clearly? Well, that's exactly what we're going to build together today.
I want you to think about your last workday for a second. Did it feel like a total whirlwind of activity? Jumping from one meeting to the next, putting out one fire after another. It's a feeling we all know, but it really begs the question, are you just busy, or are you actually being effective? Because here's the secret. The leap from busy to effective isn't about working longer hours or trying to do more. Not at all. It's about working smarter. And that all comes down to having the right mental tools to help you cut through all that noise. So let's dive in.
Okay, so first things first. Before you can even think about solving a problem, you have to be absolutely sure you're working on the right problem. This first part of our toolkit, it's all about zeroing in on what truly, genuinely matters.
And our first tool is a true classic, and for good reason, the Pareto Principle. You probably know it as the 80-20 rule. It's this incredibly powerful idea that, in almost any situation, things aren't distributed equally. A tiny number of causes are responsible for the huge majority of the results.
And this chart just makes it so clear, doesn't it? Look at that. That small sliver of 20% effort is what generates that massive chunk of 80% results. And trust me, this isn't just some abstract theory. It's a pattern that shows up everywhere. Learning to spot it is like having a superpower.
And I do mean everywhere. Think about it. In marketing, a handful of your best clients probably drive most of your sales. Time management, a few key tasks on your to-do list are the ones that actually move the needle. Heck, it's even a core idea in military strategy. Focus your force on the few critical points that matter. The takeaway here is simple but profound. Find your 20%.
All right, so you've used the 80-20 rule, you've found that critical problem that really matters. Fantastic. But now, the real work begins. It's time to put on our detective hats and figure out what's really going on under the surface.
So let's grab our first investigative tool, the Ishikawa diagram, which most people call the Fishbone diagram. Just think of this thing as your mission control board. It's a visual way for you and your team to brainstorm and map out every single potential cause for a problem. It helps make sure nothing slips through the cracks.
And here's the classic way to structure it, with the 5 M's as the main bones of the fish. It's a really smart framework for making sure you're looking in all the right places. You've got métier for your materials, milieu, which is the environment, méthodes, the process you're following, matériel, which is your equipment and tools, and finally, main d'œuvre, the human element. It's a totally systematic way to see the whole problem.
Now, if the Fishbone diagram is all about creating a wide map of every possibility, our next tool is about drilling down for oil. The 5 Whys method has a totally different goal. It's not about finding all the potential causes. It's about digging relentlessly until you hit the one single fundamental root cause.
This was actually developed by Sakichi Toyoda, the founder of Toyota, and its genius is in its simplicity. You just state the problem, and then, like a curious kid, you just keep asking why. Each answer you get becomes the starting point for the next why. And you'll find that by the time you get to that 5th why, you've usually blown past all the surface-level symptoms and landed right on the real issue. That's the insight you need.
Okay, so we focused on the right problem, we've diagnosed its root cause. So, what's next? Well, now we build. It's time to become an architect and design a clear, actionable plan to solve that problem once and for all.
The foundation of any great plan is a crystal clear destination. Let's say your 5 Whys told you the root cause of a problem was inadequate team training. Well, a vague goal like improve training just isn't going to cut it. And that's where SMART goals come in. This is not just some corporate buzzword, it's a super powerful filter created by George T. Doran for turning those fuzzy wishes into real, concrete objectives.
Let's just break it down really quick. Your goal has to be specific, no gray areas. It's got to be measurable so you actually know if you're winning. Achievable, stretch yourself, but don't make it impossible. Relevant, it has to actually matter to the bigger picture. And finally, time-bound. You got to give it a deadline. That creates focus. See? If your goal doesn't check all 5 of those boxes, it's not really a goal. It's just a dream.
Okay, so you've got your SMART goal locked in. But how do you actually map out the journey to get there? That's where the Gantt chart comes in. This thing is the architect's blueprint for your entire project. It's a visual timeline that shows every single task, who's responsible, and exactly when it needs to happen.
But what a Gantt chart really truly does is make time visible. You can see at a glance which tasks have to be done before others can start. You can spot where the potential bottlenecks are. You can see how a delay in one little area could affect the entire project. It basically turns a scary, complicated to-do list into a clear, manageable roadmap.
So far, we've been looking at tools for specific jobs, right? Focusing, diagnosing, planning. But a plan is just a snapshot in time. The most powerful tool in your entire toolkit isn't something you use just once. It's a mindset. It's the philosophy of always getting better.
A huge part of this mindset comes from the Japanese philosophy of Kaizen, which basically means continuous improvement. And one of the most practical ways to actually live out that philosophy is with the 5S method you see here: sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain. It's really just a system for creating an environment, whether that's your physical desk or your digital files, where excellence can happen one small, consistent step at a time.
Now, this whole idea of constant improvement has really evolved into two major schools of thought in the modern workplace. You've probably heard of them: Agile and Lean. They're both aiming for excellence, but they take slightly different roads to get there.
And the key difference really comes down to this. Agile is all about being adaptable. It's perfect when you're not totally sure what the end result will look like. You work in short bursts, you get fast feedback, and you adjust as you go. Lean, on the other hand, is completely obsessed with efficiency and hunting down every bit of waste in a process. The analogy is perfect. Use Agile when you're trying to navigate through a dense fog, and use Lean when you're trying to perfect a well-known assembly line. Of course, the best companies often find a way to blend both. And there you have it. From using the 80-20 rule to find your focus, to digging for the root cause with the 5 whys, to building a plan with SMART goals and a Gantt chart, and then wrapping it all in a mindset of constant improvement. You can see how they all link together, right? This isn't just a random box of tools. It's a complete, integrated system for strategic thinking.
But just knowing this stuff is only half the battle. The real power comes when you actually use it. So as we wrap up, I'm going to leave you with a question to chew on. You've just stocked your strategic toolkit. Which one of these tools are you going to pick up and put to work tomorrow?